Welcome everyone. Let's begin our lesson for today by going over the learning goals and success criteria. First, what are we learning? We're learning how to multiply and divide fractions and how to find the reciprocal of a fraction. How are we learning it? Through the Fractional Operations Part II notes and the Fractional Operations Part II assignment. When can we use this information? To calculate real-world scenarios such as splitting checks or calculating the sales price of an item. How do we know we learned it? By getting a score of 4 on the Fractional Operations Part II assignment. Now let's take a look at our agenda for today. We will begin by going over the learning goals and success criteria. While we do that, you'll fill out your Get It Started. After that, we'll go over the Fractional Operations Part II notes, and then I'll give you time to complete the Fractional Operations Part II assignment on IXL. At the end of class, we'll go back over our learning goals and success criteria while you fill out your Before You Go. Your only homework for tonight is to work on any incomplete assignments that you may have. Let's take a look now at the Fractional Operations Part II notes. Our notes begin with our learning goals and success criteria. First of all, let's talk about our multiplying fractions rules. The rules are that the denominators do not matter, which means they do not need to match. So we can have uncommon denominators. We're going to multiply the numerators and keep them as the numerators. So we would multiply 5 times 3. Then we're going to multiply the denominators and keep them as the denominators. So 2 times 2. So let's look at some examples. We have 1/2 times 1/2. Well, we're going to multiply the numerators, and we get 1 times 1, and then we're going to multiply the denominators. So that's 2 times 2. So 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 2 is 4, so we get 1 over 4 as our answer. Now we have 3 over 4 times 1/2. Denominators don't match. That's okay. We don't need them to match. So we're just going to multiply the numerator, 3 times 1, and the denominator, 4 times 2. So we get 3 times 1 is 3, 4 times 2 is 8, so we get 3 over 8. Now we have 1/3 times 1/9. So again, we're going to multiply the numerators, 1 times 1, and the denominators, 3 times 9. So 1 times 1 is 1, and 3 times 9 is 27. So we should end up with 1 over 27. Now we have 1 over 4 times 2 over 3. Well, we're going to multiply the numerators, 1 times 2, and the denominators, 4 times 3. So 1 times 2 is 2, and 4 times 3 is 12. Remember, we always need to simplify. So is there anything in common between 2 and 12? Well, we notice that 2 is, so we're going to divide both the top and bottom by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So we get 1 over 6. Now, dividing fraction rules. Again, the denominators do not matter, so they do not need to match. Now, the rule is we cannot divide two fractions. We must convert to multiplication by changing the second fraction to its reciprocal, which the reciprocal just means we're going to take 3 over 2 in this case and flip it over so it becomes 2 over 3. So in this case, we started with 5 over 2 divided by 3 over 2. We're going to use the concept of freeze, change, flip. So freeze, we're going to freeze 5 halves, which means we leave it exactly as it is. We're going to change, meaning that we're going to change this division sign, and it's going to become multiplication. So now it's 5 halves times. And then flip means we're going to take this number here, 3 halves, and we're going to flip it over so it becomes 2/3. Now we just use our multiplication rules. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's take a look at some examples. We have 1/2 divided by 1/2. So we're going to freeze, change, flip this. So we freeze 1/2, change this to multiplication, and then flip this so this becomes 2 over 1. So now it's 1/2 times 2 over 1. Well, now we just multiply. So we have 1 times 2 and 2 times 1. So 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2. So we get 2 over 2. We look to see, is there anything in common in both the numerator and denominator? Well, we can see that 2 is in common, so we divide both the top and bottom by 2, and we get 1 over 1, which is just 1. Now let's look at this one. We have 3 over 4 divided by 1 over 2. So we're going to freeze, change, flip. So this becomes 3 over 4 times 2 over 1. Now we multiply across, so we get 3 times 2 and 4 times 1. Well, 3 times 2 is 6, and 4 times 1 is 4. Again, we look to see if there's anything in common. There's a 2 in common in both the numerator and denominator, so we'll divide both the top and bottom by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 4 divided by 2 is 2, so we get 3 over 2. Now we have 1 over 3 divided by 1 over 9. So we're going to freeze, change, flip. So we freeze 1/3, change this to multiplication, and then flip this to become 9 over 1. So now we have 1/3 times 9 over 1. Now we multiply 1 times 9 and 3 times 1. Well, 1 times 9 is 9, and 3 times 1 is 3. Now we look to see if there's anything in common. Well, we can see that 3 is in common in both the top and bottom. So we divide both top and bottom by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So we get 3 over 1, which is just 3. One more, we have 1 over 4 divided by 2 over 3. We're going to freeze, change, flip this. So freeze 1/4, change this to multiplication, and then flip this to become 3 over 2. So we get 1 over 4 times 3 over 2. So now we're going to multiply the numerator and multiply the denominator. So we get 1 times 3 and 4 times 2. So 1 times 3 is 3 and 4 times 2 is 8. There's nothing in common, so we leave it just like that. Now what if we have a whole number instead of a fraction? Well, whether it's multiplication or division doesn't matter. What we're going to do is we're going to change this. Instead of it being 1/4 times 2, we're going to rewrite 2 as a fraction, which is just 2 over 1. And then we follow the same steps. So we multiply this 1 times 2 and 4 times 1, which is 2 over 4. And then we would just simplify it. Now there's a video here showing how you can check your work with fractional operations using Symbolab. Let's take a look now at how we can check our work using Symbolab for fractional operations. So we go to symbolab.com. So let's say we have 4 over 5 minus 3 over 2. That was the equation that we were given. And we're going to go ahead and click Go. And notice now it tells me what my answer is in a fraction. It'll also convert it to a decimal. For today's stuff, we just want to leave it as a fraction. So it says that it should be -7 over 10. And it shows me step by step how to do this. So it shows me to get a common denominator. And when I do that, I should get 8 over 10 minus 15 over 10. Once I do that, I subtract the numerators, and I get -7 over 10. So this is one way we can use Symbolab to check our work. And we can do it with any operation. So we could do this with, let's say, division. So let's make this 4 over 5 divided by 3 over 2. If we click Go, it'll give us an answer. It says that it should be 8 over 15. And it shows us step by step how to do this. So this is how you can use Symbolab to check your work when dealing with fractional operations. Let's talk now about how to access your assignments on IXL using SBLink. So what you'll do is you'll click on the link that takes you to your SBLink, which should look like this, and you're going to log in the same way you would log into your computer. So the first part for your username is going to be the first part of your email address without the @sbcusd.ca.us. So it should be your last name, first initial, middle initial, and then the last 4 of your student ID. Then for your password, it's the same password you use to log into your Chromebook. From there, you'll go ahead and click Sign In. And it should take you to a page that looks kind of like this. You're going to go find the link that says IXL, which is right here. And I'm going to go ahead and click on that link. And it should take me to the IXL login page. So it should look like this. At the top right corner, it should say welcome and then your name. If it does not say your name, then you're not logged in and you won't receive credit for your work. As long as this is good, you can go ahead and close that tab out, and then you can go to your Google Classroom, and then you'll go and find the activity, which is here, and I'm going to click on the IXL link right here, and this will take me to the assignment that I need to complete. So that's how you log into your assignments on IXL using SBLink. Let's take a look now at the Fractional Operations Part II assignment. So our assignment begins here with our learning goals and success criteria. If we scroll down, there's a link here to go to SBLink. That's where you'll log in and access IXL. And then you'll click on this link to take you to your IXL assignment. When we do that, it should take us to a page that looks like this. So we're going to go ahead and answer a couple questions. So the first one says -1/2 times -2/5. Well, we know that we're going to multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators. So -1 times -2 is +2. And +2 times +5 is +10. So we get 2 over 10. We need to simplify that, so it should be 1 over 5. We'll go ahead and click submit. It tells us we got it right. Notice my SMART score went up. I'm going to continue to answer questions until my SMART score reaches 80. So I'm going to answer another one. -3/5 times 1/2. So -3 times 1 is -3. And 5 times 2 is 10. So I get -3 over 10. I'm going to hit submit. It tells me I got it right. My SMART score goes up again. So you'll continue to answer these questions until you get a SMART score of 80. If you miss a question, your SMART score will go down. That's okay. Just keep answering questions until you get the SMART score of 80. Once you're done, you'll go back to your Google form. Click Next. This will take you to your Before You Go. Go ahead and complete your Before You Go and then submit your work on Google Classroom.